Hello, hello. Welcome to Athlete Talk. My name is Brad Hambric. I am a licensed professional counselor, currently working at the University of Georgia as a clinical counselor within the behavioral medicine department here, working with the student athletes. Um, been here, for about 6 months now. So um, digging in deep, and I really love and I enjoy what I do. It's a dream job for me. Um, but today, the title of my presentation is called Conquering Machismo. And the primary goal, the objective here is to look into what machismo is, to define the concept of machismo and explain the impact that as well as hypermasculinity and toxic masculinity plays in sports, and what we can do to combat that, so that that doesn't transfer to other aspects of our lives outside of the field. Um, but the first thing I really want to look into is breaking down what the concept of machismo is. Uh, the concept of machismo is associated with having a strong sense of masculine pride, and an exaggerated masculinity, so to speak. You know, Making sure that everything you do is manly and you're self-reliant. At the root of machismo, it was a thing associated with a man's responsibility to be the provider, to be the protector, to be the defender of his family. Um, However, when it comes to being on the playing field, on the playing surface, uh, you know, it can transfer to other aspects of our lives. That exaggerated pride in masculinity can come across as a sense of power, being perceived as powerful. And when you have that, it can lead to situations where there's a neglected sense of responsibility and disregards for consequences and repercussions that that sense of power and over masculinity can lead to. That really brings us to the aspects of hyper masculinity and toxic masculinity. We first want to look at how we as individuals view masculinity, versus those concepts of hyper masculinity and toxic masculinity. Masculinity is something that I feel it's real. It's genuine, it's biological, it's learned, whether it's something that's direct or indirect. You know, from individuals who help raise us, that are around us as we're growing up. Whether you have that strong male figure as a father, as a coach, or uncles or whomever is in your life at that time that you look up to, that you view, and that's really what turns into how you define masculinity. Some of us grow up in single parent households, and we might not have a strong male figure to help us define what masculinity is, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the perception can vary depending on who is that person showing you what masculinity is. You know, with hypermasculinity, it's really when men are insecure about not adhering to or abiding by this concept of what a ideal man is supposed to look like, is supposed to be. So they are overcompensate by increasing their aggressiveness, violent, overmanly behavior to prove their masculinity. On the flip side of that, with toxic masculinity, this occurs when these violent, aggressive, unemotional norms of exaggerated masculinity start to have a harmful impact on society and the individual. when you have individuals who partake in aggressive sports, you take football or wrestling, for example. The goal is to become aggressive, to act in a violent nature to defeat the person who's opposing you. Um, and, that's the expectation in that arena, to act aggressively, to act physically, to act violently. And you get applauded for that. However, sometimes, with that type of hypermasculinity, with that type of toxic masculinity, when you're rewarded for being aggressive, you're cheered, you're applauded. Sometimes it's instinctive to act that way outside of the playing field, and that's not okay. So that's something that has to be identified, has to be taught, has to be learned. That okay, it's all right for me to do this in this arena, but whenever I leave that, I have to leave that where it was and translate my actions to act appropriately accordingly in this setting. What can be done, to bring awareness and to alleviate some of these issues here. The first thing is to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is essential. Being able to speak openly and honestly about your full range of feelings and emotions. Sometimes that's something that as men that we struggle to do. We feel that is a weakness, to be able to express how we feel. You have to be able to eliminate the notion of there being male and female traits and or emotions. We have to acknowledge there's no weakness in showing emotions that are opposing those of an aggressive nature. Being able to show empathy, compassion, love, sincerity to those around you, and knowing that that doesn't make us less of a man. It's okay to cry, just as it is to laugh. It's an emotion that we express. So being able to establish a culture that assures that these type of standards are essential, and has to start at the top. Whether it's a coach, whether it's a father, whether it's a CEO, whatever position they're in, it has to be something that starts at the top and it reverberates through effective leadership in order to get that point to where it's okay to act this way. It's okay to let your guard down a little bit, and in essence, those are the steps that are needed to be able to conquer machismo. I appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope that that was informative.